Chapter 1044 is one of the biggest chapters in all of One Piece, and for good reason. All this time we thought Luffy's fruit was simply a rubber fruit, but instead we find out it's much more special than that, to the point where the Gorosei call it the most ridiculous power in the world. This reveals one of the most pivotal in the entirety of the series, that goes without saying, but I like to focus on a detail that I don't see many people talking about, and that could have some pretty important implications. In a single line, we find out that Zoan fruits contain a will of their own, and I'm sure people have speculated that in the past, but this opens a whole new train of thought in terms of what this could mean for devil fruits as a whole. Before I get into that though, I want to lay the groundwork by talking about the idea of will in One Piece. As many of you may already know, will and specifically inherited will plays a big part in One Piece's narrative. This goes back as far as Shanks putting the straw hat on Luffy's head, which Shanks originally got from Roger, who's waiting for someone to fulfill the will that has been passed down since ancient times. Now whose will that originally came from is still unknown, could be Joy Boy or Nika or someone from the ancient kingdom, who knows. But that's not important. All you need to understand is that the idea of passing down one's will means that even after one's death, their dreams, ideals, and ambitions will live on in someone else, and that will can continue to be passed on through multiple generations and several people until it is finally fulfilled. And this will can transcend one's bloodline as stated by Whitebeard. So even though Luffy and Ace are not blood related, they made an oath of brotherhood, so naturally if one of them dies, it's up to the other to carry on his will. This idea is tied to Roger, Joy Boy, Ace, and Luffy, just to name a few. The aforementioned characters have all played a big role in One Piece's story and world at one point or another, so it's pretty obvious how important this concept is in the grand scheme of things. So how does this tie into the origin of devil fruits? Well, real quick, I want to say I love when thematic elements in the narrative of a story also apply to the inner workings of its physical aspects, and what I'm about to say is a prime example of that. Well, only if it turns out to be true. For now, it's just a theory. It seems that one can inherit another's will through fulfilling their dreams and ambitions, or through eating a Zoan fruit. Now, inheritance through a Zoan appears to be different in the sense that it seems to merely affect their behavior, as opposed to influencing their core character and ideals. So by those standards, I believe that Luffy is actually inheriting at least two wills. From a fundamental standpoint, he's inherited Ace's, and from more of a personality or behavior standpoint, he's inherited Joy Boy's. And in the same way one's will can be carried on after their death, so can devil fruits as they return to the world after their last user's death and can be eaten by someone else. So to sum it up, will is reflected both thematically and in terms of abilities in One Piece, specifically Zoans. Now we know where will comes from in the traditional sense, from another person, but where does the will inside of a Zoan fruit come from? I don't really believe that a fruit, a literal piece of food, naturally has a will in it, even in a series as wacky and out there as One Piece. I actually believe it's the same as the other form of inheritance, from another person, that through currently unknown means people or creatures' wills, maybe even their entire consciousness, are somehow injected into normal fruits to become devil fruits, specifically Zoans. That explains awakened Zoan users' behavior, as the jailers in Impel Down are more like the animals their fruits are modeled after, and Luffy seems to act more like Nika or Joy Boy in his awakened state. That would also mean tapping into the full potential of a Zoan fruit, which would be awakening, would also mean more closely resembling the creature or person from which the will of the fruit originally came from. Now the big question is, how do people go about putting a will inside of a fruit? Well, if we look at the different powers outside of devil fruit abilities, to me the most likely answer is Haki. This could easily be a coincidence, but there are three forms of Haki and three forms of devil fruits. And I think that in ancient times, most likely during the Void Century, each type of devil fruit was made using one of the three types of Haki. I also want to mention that in this current arc, where we also got the reveal that Zoans have a will, there's a huge emphasis on one specific type of Haki and one specific type of devil fruit, Conquerors and Zoans. Look how many Conquerors Haki users are shown off in just this one arc. Luffy, Zoro, Kid, Odin, Roger, Kaido, Big Mom, Yamato, and of course the Beast Pirates are all Zoans. Even the main fight of this arc is between two mythical Zoan users who can both use advanced Conquerors. And as previously stated, Zoans have a will inside of them, and Conquerors is the ability to exert your willpower onto others. This leads me to believe that Conquerors Haki was used in a way that allowed one to manipulate their own will or others' wills so that it could be put into a fruit to create a Zoan devil fruit. Now Conquerors was only used to make Zoans because of its ability to exert willpower. When it comes to the other two kinds of devil fruits, Logia and Paramecia, I believe they were made using armament and observation respectively. And when it comes to Paramecia and how it could be created using observation, this is the only one I'm not so sure about, but then again, we still have a good bit of One Piece left, and we could possibly find out that it has more capabilities than what we've seen so far. After all, we only just found out in the last major arc that observation Haki is capable of future sight, but I do believe it has something to do with the infusion of Haki, as a way of somehow physically grabbing someone's will or grabbing an element like light or darkness in order to manifest it and place it into a fruit. And as of current One Piece, observation Haki is the only form of Haki that doesn't have infusion. I'm not really sure how that would work, but it would just feel weird to have an odd one out that can't be infused, so again we'll just have to wait and see. Also, you might be wondering why the origin of devil fruits hasn't been revealed yet if all it takes is Haki. There was most likely some sort of special factor that we don't know about that was involved in the process. An idea that I personally like is that Haki was used in a different way back then from how it's used in current times, since we know Haki has multiple capabilities. After all, armament can be used offensively or defensively, then we have Ryuo, and of course observation can be used to sense someone's presence or see into the future. This method of Haki used to make devil fruits would have been forgotten due to the world government erasing any knowledge of it in order to prevent any other person or group from becoming too powerful. But regardless of the specifics, because I'm sure there's some things I said that didn't add up, I'm pretty confident that Haki is involved in the origins of devil fruits in some form or fashion. I know there's probably holes you can poke in this theory, but depending on how certain things play out in the future of One Piece, it could end up working out. But I mainly wanted to share this because of how it connects thematic and technical elements like inherited will, devil fruits, Haki, etc. So with all that said, thanks for making it to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss an upload, and peace out.